content over everything.
I'm still an atheist, you know.
I had a good conversation with you, man. You had a lot of interesting points. Now I'm gonna go think about it. It doesn't mean I'm gonna join you.
Nah,
you know. So
it would take a lot for me to just think, oh my god, that's amazing. I'm joining that. It would take a lot for me to do that.
Yeah, usually like people become spiritually like independently, not really from
independent.
Me, when I've been in other countries by myself, walking, just merely walking, like not knowing where I'm going, just walking, and then like I'll be in Greece 1 minute, and, be in another country, and I'm just like walking. And every night I'd look up and it'd just be like, and I felt connected then. It wasn't from what somebody told me or convinced me like a salesman. It was my own individual thing. And I took a lot from that, rather than somebody trying to,
force it on you. And you're Christian. Or you're not a religious, you're spiritual more than religious.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm like a proper Christian. That'd be embarrassing to proper Christians. I'm a cultural Christian that has got a lot to learn about Christianity, but I'd be selling myself out to other people that I call myself a Christian. I've been baptised. I go to church quite often, but I wouldn't say that I'm a devout Christian.
Well, that's still more than most average English.
Yeah, but I mean,
they don't really go to church. Like my nan calls herself a Christian, but she hasn't been to church for years. Wears the cross, stuff like that. So
I get kicked out of the churches that I go. They don't want me there.
I'll probably be on fire.
I start questioning like what's it all about.
But that's the best way. Always question, innit?
They don't like it though.
Of course they don't. They're hard questions, but you have
not
to.
Not the churches that
the answers don't add up.
For me personally,
if to scrutiny or logic or anything like that,
I'm more aligned with Christ than anything else.
Because the answer is faith. The eventual answer. That is the truth.
So there was J.K. Chesterton in his book Heretics. He has this really cool quote, or like a lot of things, and he's like, there are two kinds of people in the world. There's people who believe in dogma and know it, and people who believe in dogma and don't know it. You see, that's the thing. It's like dogma can be used up to a point, but then when you
well, everyone has dogma. Otherwise, you wouldn't get out of bed or whatever. Do you know what I mean? You wouldn't believe in all institutions. You have faith in the money. I mean, these are all things that are
based on skeptical of your own existence.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can get in trouble. You know what I mean? You can get nowhere if you don't believe in anything. Well, we were having a discussion over there.
I was listening.
Were you listening?
And
I basically, my point was, I was asking because I'm ignorant of the Quran, right? Cheers, man. I was ignorant of the Quran, and because I was maybe giving an example from Christianity and trying to something that was blatantly nonsense, and they talked around it for a while, and then about 4 or 5 of them, none of them gave me an answer, and then one of them eventually came up with an answer of something that I would find blatantly absurd as not a Muslim. But it was the reticence in coming forward to give me even one example, which I found was the most, kind of illustrative thing of what they were talking about. What was it, the example of the guy splitting the moon, Muhammad, or whatever, and someone came through and I was like, well, thank you, that's an example, that's what I was looking for, something that doesn't add up, but you actually believe it. And then there was kind of issues around semantics, around they believe that happened then, it's in the Quran is true, and you're like, blah, 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 what did you say? Blah, 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 you know what I mean? And they're like, oh, well, you don't believe it because you don't believe the Quran, and I'm like, no, that's mumbo jumbo.
The argument I keep having for that is that what is the difference between literal materialistic truth versus allegorical truth? You see what I mean? It's like, okay, so to give you a good example.
I just need to think about it for a minute. So literal.
So literal truth would be like
literally true. I am speaking to you here.
Yes, you are physically here. You are speaking to me in the park at this time and day. Whereas allegory would be I spoke to someone in the park, and we had a discussion. Whether or not that actually happened is irrelevant. But the story is the important aspect, not the literal occurrence.
So you can understand why in Christianity, well, I mean, I know the Bible better. I'm sure there's lots of examples in the Quran. Millions of them. But the creation myths and things, that would be like an easy example. And lots of the things from the Bible would be, but
most of those. So
that's what I was kind of wanting to go with when I was chatting to them. Do you believe it literally, or do you believe it is? But I think it is actually a literal belief in it, and they can't even question it. It's almost
a very modern phenomenon. Because there's two very contradictory things going on with the Islamic movement. They're trying very hard to reconcile it with scientific ideas without recognizing.
Give me an example of an example where the Quran Quran was correct before its time, and he said the expansion of the universe, because in the Quran it says something about the universe is expanding, or somewhere along those lines. So, I'm not sure. I don't know the word universe, but you know, something like that. And I was like, well, that's that's just a coincidence.
I'd have to be very skeptical, because
of course,
again, my knowledge of the Quran is limited as well. I've read a translated version a very long time ago, but at the same time, we have to recognize that you and I are born like we're talking 80s and 90s. This knowledge existed in our heads prior to us coming to the text. So is it possible that we are imposing our view of the world on the text? That's also very possible, because the text is deliberately vague. The text was designed to be translatable across different epochs, so it's deliberately vague. So you can fill up those holes with anything in your mind. And
well, I mean, I went to church when I was younger, so I've had a fair amount of, it's that language that is used that is very open and carries with it a great weight, but there's ambiguity in most of the terms, and even every single verse is ambiguous.
Absolutely.
And you're right that
because the interesting limitation would be like, look, you want it to be sort of aligned with science. So science, 700-800 years ago, it was a geocentric vision of the universe, and there was a large percentage of people who thought that maybe the Earth was flat and there were sea monsters, and that was considered valid scientific theory. So if you're telling me it is applicable then, and that is applicable now, but the language hasn't changed, that says something about the language. You see what I mean? So but again, it's this idea of, look, you're trying to use science, which is designed to explain certain things very well, but it's not designed to provide you with moral guidance. It's not designed to provide you with like a spiritual dimension to your belief. It will tell you very well how the world works. It will tell you very well that we think X, Y, and Z. And even a self-respecting scientist will take their proofs up to a point. But beyond that point, they won't venture out. That's a black and white fallacy going on right now. Jeez, guys.
Sorry.
Well,
I don't know if we're going to be talking for that much longer.
This is my camera. This is my main camera, but they finished the discussion over here, so they just bring it to me.
Content over everything. From your man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to IT.
This is Britain. We're fighting for Queen and country, mate. This is it. No, but them man got different mentalities. One thing says, brother, it's like me and you now, brother, yeah? Going to a Ku Klux Klan freedom speech. Exactly, yeah. And then march, and then say it's a calm. Exactly. No one has a black man. Exactly. Brother, it's completely different, man. They saw in front of the world. It's democracy, mate. It's not. Them boys went there, but you shouldn't think I'm going to get attacked.
Now, there are two things about this. The concept.
He called it off.